Part 1. I knew something was wrong at the wedding. I wasn't part of their family. I was just a friend of Daniel's from college, close enough to be invited to the wedding, far enough to notice what others ignored. The first red flag? His mother wore white, not light beige, not off-white. White. When she walked into the ceremony, people actually turned around thinking she was the bride. I laughed at first, thought maybe she just had bad taste. But then I saw her face. She wasn't smiling at her son like a proud mother. She was studying the bride, like competition. And when Daniel kissed his wife, I swear I saw something flicker in her eyes. Not joy, loss, and something darker. That's when I thought, this marriage won't be peaceful. I just didn't realize it would become a battlefield. At the reception, she barely left his side. Every time someone congratulated the couple, she interrupted. I raised him alone. He's always been my world. No one knows him like I do. At one point, she actually said, while holding his arm, "He used to tell me everything. Now I'll have to share." She said it jokingly, but she didn't sound like she was joking. I remember looking at his bride, Emily. She smiled politely. She had no idea what she had just walked into. 6 months later, I ran into Daniel for coffee. He looked exhausted, dark circles, nervous energy. "Everything okay?" I asked. He hesitated. "Mom's been having anxiety lately. I've been staying over there some nights." Some nights? He had just gotten married. I didn't say anything, but I felt it. This wasn't temporary. This was regression. And Emily? She wasn't winning. She was being slowly erased. The first real sign that things were collapsing happened on their anniversary. I know because Emily called my wife that night crying. Daniel had left their anniversary dinner because his mother couldn't breathe. Apparently, this breathing issue only happened during romantic moments. Strange timing, right? Even stranger? The hospital found nothing wrong. Again. That's when I realized something terrifying. She didn't want him sick. She wanted him summoned. And every time she called, he came, no matter what it cost his marriage. But the worst part? That was only the beginning. Part 2. The slow poison. Extended. The shift didn't happen overnight. That's what makes stories like this dangerous. If she had screamed or openly attacked Emily, it would have been obvious. But she didn't. She operated quietly, like water slowly rotting wood from the inside. About a year into the marriage, Daniel stopped coming to our weekly basketball games. At first it was work. Then it was Mom's anxiety. Then it was silence. One night he finally showed up. He looked thinner, distracted. His phone buzzed 3 times in 10 minutes. He didn't have to check. He already knew who it was. "She gets panic attacks at night," he said defensively before I even asked. "Every night?" I replied. He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped outside to call her back. He missed the rest of the game. That was the pattern. He was physically present, but emotionally tethered somewhere else. Emily started withdrawing too. My wife told me she had stopped decorating their home, stopped planning things, stopped posting pictures. When someone emotionally checks out, it doesn't happen loudly. It happens in tiny resignations, one by one. Then came the financial tension. I didn't expect that. Daniel mentioned over drinks that he had started helping his mom with bills. Nothing wrong with that. Until I learned she wasn't struggling. She had savings, a pension, no debt. But suddenly her car needed repairs. Her roof had damage. Her insurance messed something up. And Daniel handled it all. Emily found out when she noticed large withdrawals. That was their first explosive fight. Not about money, about priority. "You're building 2 households," she told him. He responded with something that stuck with me. "She had me first." That sentence told me everything. But the real turning point was the accidental text. Emily showed it to my wife. A message from his mother that read, "I don't know why you need her when you've always had me." It was sent at 2:14 a.m., supposedly meant for someone else. That's what Daniel claimed. But think about that wording. You don't accidentally type something that specific. You send it to test the damage, to measure the reaction. And from what I saw, she was always measuring. Then the fake cheating scandal hit. This was the moment things truly cracked. Emily received screenshots from Daniel's social media account, private messages with a woman named Lena. The tone was flirtatious, suggestive, late night. The timestamps overlapped with nights he claimed he was at his mother's house. Emily was shattered. She confronted him. He panicked, swore it wasn't him. And then came the detail that changed everything. His mother had access to his accounts in case of emergencies. She helped manage his emails, reset his passwords, even handled some of his online payments. Emily asked him to change everything immediately. He hesitated. Not because he believed his mother did it, but because he couldn't imagine locking her out. That hesitation did more damage than any proof could. At the next family dinner, tension sat at the table like a fourth guest. His mother was unusually calm, polite, even kind. That's when I realized something else. She wasn't emotional. She was strategic. When Emily finally confronted her about the messages, she didn't deny anything directly. She tilted her head slightly and said, "Why would I sabotage my own son's happiness?" Notice the phrasing, not "I didn't do it," but "why would I?" That's not a denial. That's redirection. And Daniel fell for it. He always did. The dinner ended with Emily saying something I'll never forget. "You don't need a wife. You need a therapist." Daniel stormed out. His mother remained seated, smiling faintly, like she had just confirmed something. That night, Daniel didn't go home. He stayed at his mother's house. And from that point on, their marriage was no longer collapsing. It was dissolving. But the worst was still coming. Because emotional dependency doesn't let go quietly. It tightens when threatened. And she was about to feel very threatened. Part 3. The day she won, extended. The final unraveling didn't explode. It tightened like a knot, then snapped. 2 weeks after that dinner, I got a call from Daniel. He sounded hollow. "Emily wants space." Space. That word people use when oxygen is already gone. He admitted they had started sleeping in separate rooms. Communication had reduced to logistics. Bills, groceries, appointments, no affection, no partnership, just coexistence. And meanwhile, his mother's health was deteriorating again. New symptoms, dizziness, insomnia, heart palpitations, all conveniently escalating as Emily emotionally detached. Then came the moment I witnessed myself. I went to return a jacket Daniel left at my place. Both cars were in the driveway. Inside, the house felt wrong. Quiet, but not peaceful. Tense. His mother stood in the kitchen, not like a guest, like an owner. Daniel stood close to her, shoulders slumped. She had her hand pressed flat against his chest, right over his heart, and she was speaking softly. "I don't know how to survive if you leave me alone." That sentence wasn't love. It was pressure. And his answer? "You're not alone." Not "I'm married." Not "We'll figure this out." Not "I have responsibilities." Just reassurance. To her. That was the moment I realized Emily had already lost. Because you can't compete with someone who makes your partner feel responsible for their existence. Emily came home while I was still there. She saw them, saw the proximity, saw the emotional gravity pulling him inward. And something in her face changed. Not anger, not heartbreak, clarity. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She said one sentence: "I won't fight for someone who won't step forward." Then she walked upstairs. That night, she packed 2 suitcases, no drama. Daniel followed her once, stopped in the hallway, didn't say stay, didn't say choose me. He looked torn, but torn people still make decisions, and silence is one of them. The divorce was finalized quietly. No public scandal, no big explanation. Officially, it was irreconcilable differences. Unofficially, emotional enmeshment, a lifetime of guilt conditioning, and a mother who never allowed separation. 3 months later, Daniel moved back into his childhood home. His mother repainted his old bedroom. Neighbors talked, but no one truly understood. From the outside, it looked like a devoted son caring for his aging mother. From the inside, it was a cycle resetting. Back to the beginning. Back to the role he was trained to play. Savior, emotional anchor, replacement partner. The scariest part of this story isn't scandal. It's subtlety. There was no affair, no screaming betrayal, just emotional fusion so strong it left no room for anyone else. Emily didn't lose to another woman. She lost to a role she could never fill. And Daniel, he didn't lose a wife. He lost the chance to become independent. Sometimes the loudest destruction happens quietly, and by the time you hear it, it's already over. If this story unsettled you, if you've ever watched someone choose guilt over growth, or seen a marriage suffocate slowly instead of explode, subscribe for more real stories, and tell me in the comments, when did you realize she wasn't just a mother, but competition?